Put the kids to bed. Dad's home. We are the DWO podcast representing the Dad World Order. I am the handsome head of household, Mr. Magnificent Mike Martin. And with me, as always, the rest of the Patriarch Pack. He is the big bad bearded daddy. He is Big Rig Eric Murphy.
I heard it. It was just real light.
We're getting there.
Work in progress.
Work in progress.
We'll get it back.
Oh, yeah.
Under construction. He is the perpetual mid-carder and the two-time, I say, world record holder. He is the wrestling t-shirt guy, Cephas.
All right, what up, y'all?
What's going on, man?
171, if we will.
Nice.
I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, man.
Well, as Mr. Magnificent said, we are the DWO podcast. Tonight we have with us a very special guest. Guy, it's a little more behind the scenes, but has trained pretty much a who's who in the wrestling community, the one and only Cody Hawk. Sir, how the heck are you?
Hello, guys, and thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Pleasure's ours.
I gotta say, you might be next to Al Snow. I think you're the most legendary trainer that we have had on this show. I mean, that's two of the greatest. There's so many names under both of you guys, but I mean,
To be compared with Al, that's a heck of an honor. So thank you for that.
I mean, it's got to be something. I mean, your trainee is in the main event of Saudi Arabia's major crown jewel this Saturday. I mean,
Yeah, how cool is that? It's good. I'm glad that he's finally getting what he needs to, what he's worked 20 years for, and I'm happy to see it finally happening for him. And he's had some stardom and some fame with other companies and stuff, but now he's on top of the wrestling mountain. So good for him.
Absolutely. Yeah. What was that like for you as a trainer? I guess not just him, but like when you see any of your students kind of, make it, as it were, is that like kind of like a proud papa moment type thing? Or
Of course, very happy that they've reached their goal or their dream, or they're making the money, or they're doing whatever it is they set out to do. And let's be honest, if you get into pro wrestling and you're really trying to make something of it, WWE, those big companies, that's where you want to be. And in the main event picture, that's what we all dream of, headlining WrestleMania, headlining the big pay-per-views. And so to see anybody get signed to a contract, that's awesome. As they move up the ladder, that's awesome. I'll send guys a little message here or there. Yo, dude, excellent work. Keep grinding, man. Keep pushing. You're almost there. So yeah, of course, I'm very proud when those guys and girls, achieve dreams.
Do you still send them critiques like, you need to tighten up that suplex a little bit, or
Occasionally somebody will ask a question, and I'll definitely give them my thought process. But these guys are on TV making lots of money, and I don't know, at this point I don't think they need my critiques.
it's still got to feel pretty cool, man. I mean, you the impact that you're leaving behind and you're in the pro wrestling world is, I mean, two of my all-time favorites, Sammy Callahan, John Moxley. I mean, those two, you had a hand in crafting who they became to be. And it's got to feel, it's almost, I don't know. Do you have kids for real in real life?
No.
So, I mean, it's still going to feel like the dad moment, though. Like you really
It does.
Invest
It does.
so much into these people.
Yeah. All the kids that train under me, I mean, I call them all my kids. Even now I'm with the Micro Wrestling Federation. All the guys that train with me here, I call them my kids. Like they're my kids. Like I don't have any real kids. So, I pour that energy into all these guys and girls and trying to help them do what they want to do. So
sure.
Man, I was so deathly ill on the 22nd. I couldn't make it to the micro show, and I was so sad, man. I was feverishly sick, so
yeah,
it is what it is. But
I definitely want to get out there. I was just about to bring that up. That looks like all the clips I've seen and everything. That looks like an absolute blast, and I definitely need to get out there for sure.
Yeah, we're growing at a rapid rate, and we got some big things coming, and our company is it blows my mind. I never in a million years would have guessed that this is where I would end up, where my career would take me, and that it would
Right.
totally change my life. And you go out with these guys and girls, and we run a skeleton crew. I'm talking 6 to 8 people total, and,
Wow.
and we fill a full 2-hour show. We give the people their money's worth, and we pack places. 3, 4, 5, 1,000. It's insane. I'm like, oh my gosh, I never knew. And then,
Right.
Yeah. A niche of a niche, I mean, it's just people love it.
we'll
I've
go
always hear
we'll go
great
into
things.
like a college bar in some town, Statesville, Carolinas, some little town that you just don't even heard of. Go to a venue there and draw 1,000 people. Like, holy shit, you know.
That's
we
wild.
we were we did a show somewhere in Arkansas as we were coming into town. It said like population like 571, something like that, and there was like 700 people at the show. Like, there was more people at the show than
Then
population
in
of the
the
town. I'm like,
town.
are you
Yeah.
kidding me?
You doubled the population of the city with your draw. That's
Yeah.
I see
Yeah.
what you're saying. That's definitely cool. I
So
like that.
how'd you get started in that? I gotta ask, like, obviously you've been training, for quite a while. Like, how does that become even a
it
thing?
was it was it was very random. My boss, the guy that runs micro wrestling, he randomly reached out to me on Facebook. We had never met, we'd never crossed paths, but we had a mutual friend, another one of the little guy wrestlers, and I think he's the one that passed my info along. Hey, this guy's a good trainer, and that's more or less what the Facebook message was. It said, I own this company. I'm looking for a trainer. I've heard nothing but good things about you. Are you interested? And I was like, yeah, sure. We'll check it out. I went on the road with him for 2 days. Went up and did 2 fair shows up in Michigan. They drew 1,100 the first night. They drew 2,200 the second night. I was like, "Are you? This is insane." And then he's like, we go on the road. We do like 300 road shows a year with this crew, and I have my own building in Pigeon Forge. I have a nice 300-seat arena there. Like, you think you could do this? And I, I'll give it a try. Like,
Yeah.
it's a challenge, but it's wrestling to me no matter what. It's always
Right.
wrestling, and
Yeah.
but it's a challenge. The bodies are different. The way we move is different. It's just learning how to do it a different way. So, like,
Sure.
here I am at 50 years old, completely evolving my style of wrestling to accommodate for somebody that's half my size, and
Right.
train
Yeah.
them and teach them how to do the things that I can do, and do it with each other. And so anyway, Wynn did a couple shows. Then he asked me to come to Pigeon Forge. He had 2 girls down there. He asked me to help them put together a match, because at that time there was no micro girl wrestling match going on anywhere in the country. And
Really?
there's very few. Number one, there's very few micro wrestlers. Number two, there's even fewer girl micro wrestlers.
Right.
And like, each company has like one girl. There's only like 4 or 5 micro companies in the whole country, and
Okay.
so there's only a couple of girls here and there. We're lucky enough right now that with what's happening there, we have 5 girls right now, and they're not all working yet, but they will be in the next 3 months. But he sent me to Pigeon Forge. I helped these 2 girls. They put together this match. They did it on a show that night, or a month or so later. The boss watched it. He loved it. The girls cried. It was hugs for everybody. And the boss was like, you want to do this full time? And I'm like, yes, I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Like,
Heck yeah.
I get to
Drawing
leave
crowds like this.
Ohio. I want to get out of Ohio. I don't like Ohio. I hated it. I'm trying to get here to Florida, but I was like, yeah, well, Tennessee's along the way,
That's
so
halfway.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and we're in a tourist town, so it's cool, and having a show like that, like it's almost like a Hollywood, like a repeating stage show. It's a very
Right.
similar show every night, change up a few little things, but it's very similar, and the road shows, those are the same too. But now this year we had so many road shows that both crews are out on the road, so both crews are doing 250 to 300 road shows.
Holy
We have
cow.
two. We have Micro 1 and Micro 2. And we're finishing up. Micro 2's got one more 11-day loop, which I'll leave and go back out on the road on Tuesday, and we'll be gone for 12 days. So 11 shows in 12 days. And then we'll be back in Pigeon Forge for the rest of the year, Wednesday through Saturday, every night. And
That's awesome.
and
I was actually going to say I was down in Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge. It was for a bachelor party like a few years ago, and I remember seeing an advertisement for it, and I was like, we were there for the whole weekend, and I'm like, guys, let's go to this. Like, this sounds like so much fun, and like it never ended up happening, but I was so mad that we didn't go because I'm like, they all just wanted to go to a bar or something, and I'm like, what's more memorable, going to a bar or going to freaking micro wrestling? Like, come on, it's your bachelor party, dude.
Here, I'll tell you an insider tip. If you come back, you can bring your own cooler of beer. so you don't have to go to the bar.
That, we'd have been there.
You can do it there.
Oh man. So are you guys going to be up for Squared Circle Expo this year, or are you guys going to do anything there or no?
I mean, I would love to get the two entities together, but our show is a pretty expensive show, and I'm not sure that Ed wants to come off that kind of money. And as far as just like us like getting a vendor space or being there, like we could do that, or we could be out on the road packing 1,000 people into some place and making a huge door gate. So financially, it's better for us to stay on the road and keep going than it is to come do something like that, unless they're going to buy the show.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, Ed, I talked to Ed just a few minutes ago, actually, and he told me to tell you to tell the story of a flying canoe. I don't know.
My gosh. Oh yeah. This is like 20 years ago, and me and Ed were working for this shiesty promoter up in South Bend, Indiana. I had an Oldsmobile Cutlass, like a what the hell year was that thing? It was like a 99, 2000, something like that. No, actually, I think it was a 90, because this happened in like 98 or 99. So it was a 1990, and we were somewhere up in northern Indiana, and we were on a backcountry road. It's just me and him. I'm driving, and this truck passed us and had all kinds of kids in the bed of the pickup truck, like some teenagers, some youngsters, and some like little kids. And they had a canoe that was like across, like from the bed of the truck up onto the cab of the truck, and they were all holding it in place as we're going up the highway. And they passed us and got, quarter mile in front of us or something. And then that canoe, it took off like a rocket and just went straight up in the air, like 50 feet straight up in the air. And then it did like a one flip and came down and landed perfectly on its bottom and was in the other lane. And we slowed down, and I slowed down like 20 miles an hour, and like the car and the canoe pass like is in the other lane, and we're just one of those weird looking out the window,
like what?
Like a scene from a movie. And then the truck pulled off to the side of the road, and the kids was bailing out and running back the road. And I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy.
What am I
Well, yeah,
seeing?
you're just asking that air, that draft coming over the truck to just pick that thing and make it go.
Yeah, it was the damnedest thing.
That's funny.
They were going to take it to the lake or wherever, and they were going to all get in that same canoe.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Hey, we faced off with a canoe, and we probably made $25 a piece that day. So it was worth it.
Worth it.
Ed's good people, man. We're going to have a table out there at Squared Circle. We've all been to Squared Circle in the past, but this will be our first year having a table. We're going to have some guests signing at our table too. So it's going to be a cool experience for us. We're trying to build this podcast a little bit more than we already have. So
yeah, I had to miss it this past year, and I was pretty sad about that, because I was there for the first two, and like me and Ed, we're really been good buddies for a long time. So I know if I called him and said, hey, I want to come, he'd squeeze me in. But it's I don't know. My schedule's just so crazy nowadays. I never know where I'm going to be.
It's a good problem to have.
WrestleMania weekend.
Yeah. It gets to be so repetitious that I have to look at my phone to see what day of the week it is and what town we're actually in, because I they all look the same.
Right. Yeah. Well, especially nowadays with, subdivisions being what they are, it's all a bunch of cookie cutter homes that all look the same.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I mean, we do college bars, and we do clubs and restaurants and civic centers, and when we hit a state, like we were in Texas, we were there for like 6.5 weeks, and in that 6.5 weeks we had like 4 days off, and it was just show after show after show after show after show after show after show, and you just at some point you don't even remember, like, where were we 2 days ago? I have no
Yeah.
idea where we were. I
No
can't
idea.
think what the building. I can't even tell you what the building looked like until somebody says something. Oh yeah, that was that place.
Yeah.
Man, I would be so scared of losing my keys and wallet all the time.
Oh, no,
Oh,
you never know that. You never find them.
No, we've definitely had a few of the guys and girls leave wallets and stuff like that at hotels, and then you have to have like one hotel mail it ahead to where we're going to be like 2 days from now at a different hotel, or mail it to a venue that we're going to.
Yeah.
Jeez.
That's
Yeah, because you can't really turn around and go back for it. It's like, well,
No,
that leads me into
No.
my next question, though, man. I know travel is hell because I travel a lot as well. Travel is hell, but do you still find time to just kind of drink it in? I'm just seeing the world, man. I'm seeing the world with wrestling,
so for me, this is like, I don't know. This is kind of what makes it so cool for me is the first 4 or 5 years of my wrestling career, I traveled all over the country. I was just young and hungry, and I would go anywhere for any amount of money. And now I'm getting to roll back through a whole lot of states and a whole lot of towns and stuff that I wrestled in or that I went to, and I'm getting to see it all again 20, 25, almost 30 years later. And it's, I don't know, it's really cool. I feel like I'm sort of reliving the early days of my career, traveling the roads as a young
right.
kid. And
Yeah.
I'm traveling with all these guys and girls, and for the most part, they're all young, and they're all, just really getting going. We got a couple guys and girls that have been there for a while, but for the most part, everybody there, I mean, is 2-3 years or less. So for me, like I said, I feel like I'm getting to relive some of my early days with my travel and going to see these places. So yeah, I totally like just look around sometimes. I'm like, wow, this is cool. Or if we're in somewhere, like a really cool town, we have time off. I'm looking for some kind of touristy thing that's around there to go do. Or like we were just in San Antonio, and I was like just begging for like 2 hours so that I could just go to the Alamo and see the Alamo.
Oh, yeah.
And but it didn't work out. So we'll get it next time around. But I've been to a ton of beaches and seen a bunch of cool national parks and monuments. And one of my kids, Psycho, he's all addicted to waterfalls. So if there's a waterfall anywhere close, we're going to a waterfall. So yeah, it's
Psycho.
very, yeah.
I had to think for a second. I remind myself you said you didn't actually have children. That's a wrestler's name.
Yeah.
We had Statman from B105 on, and he named his kids like
Jane
Happy.
Awesome and Kate Fun or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been pretty cool for us, man. We're getting pretty. Our guests just keep getting increasingly cooler, man. So it's been a wild ride for us because we all love pro wrestling, and I tried to wrestle, like I said before we got on here. I trained with you a couple times, but it didn't work out for me career wise. You know what I mean? It wasn't in the cards for me. But I'm able to build almost this side career with these gentlemen, and we're interviewing people that we consider our heroes and people that we're just fans of, and we're really in deep with Wrestling Revolver, one of your trainees promotion, Sammy Callahan.
Yeah.
But for us to be able to find a way, like we often say a phrase here is that we love wrestling and wrestling loves us back, and it's really cool to see the fruits of our labors, and we talked earlier about the fruits of your labors as well. But has there ever been a moment where you knew that regardless of whether you were going to craft any training into this person, you knew they were going to work and be a pro wrestler automatically? Is there somebody that had that spark automatically for you?
If I mean, Moxley was the first one that like came through the door that I just was like, this kid gets it. He understands psychology. He doesn't quite know how to pull it all off yet, but he gets it. He understands it. And and it didn't take him long to pick it up. And we all said, in his first 6 months of being in the business, he's going to make money. At that time, our training class was like, yeah, you had to train for like 6 months to a year before we were going to let you on the show. And at 3 months, he was on the show. And so, yeah, we definitely all knew. And, LA Knight, Sean, he always had, the great looking physique, and he could always talk. And, so for him to see him, doing that, that's not surprising to me. And Sammy too. Sammy cut his teeth his own way, but like him getting there, that's not surprising to me, because he put in so much effort and work when he was young. Like,
right.
If the guys show up to training, and they want to stay after training, they want to come before training, and they want to get extra training, like, they got something special about them. And
right.
and they're always craving that stuff from everybody. So yeah, definitely with those guys, and there's definitely been some others along the way, but those three definitely for sure. And it's funny, back at HWA in the early 2000s, when those guys were all there training, and a storyline angle, we had a crew of them there, and I called them the Moxley crew. And it was Sammy Callahan, John Moxley, LA Knight at that time was called Dick Rick. It was Dick Rick, and also the kid that is the Blade was Pepper Parks. He was part of that crew and part of our place as well. So all four of those guys were in one little clique together working on our shows, and then years later, those guys all have jobs.
It's crazy, man. I don't I got to ring announce a match between Ben Chimera and John Moxley, and I remember that was the first night that I met Mox, and he was something different then. He definitely had that weird factor of like, this guy knows how to make this crowd believe every single thing that he's doing. And it's cool to see him do what he's doing, man. And in a way, he's the modern day Stone Cold, if you will. He's that loose cannon Brian Pillman-esque. There's a level of crazy to him that I just really like. Is that something he had automatically, or did he craft that as he went?
Well, when he was young, he lived with me, and he ECW was his thing, and Japanese tapes, FMW, like he was watching that stuff every day. And so, you can see a lot of that in him. Brian Pillman Sr. was his go-to guy. He studied him. I latched on to wrestling against John very early in his career, because I knew he was good, and I was going to help get him to a better place. And we had really good ring chemistry. And at that point in time, I was doing some dumb shit too, and I was beating the crap out of myself. And we did a lot of dumb things together. We took a lot of silly bumps for each other. And but then he started going out to the East Coast and doing stuff with CZW, and the level of violence just kept growing and growing and growing in him. And I wish he would pump the brakes on it a little bit before he takes on a hellacious injury for real, because you can only play with fire so many times before you do get hurt,
Right.
But he's got to do whatever he's got to do. And I'm never going to, tell him not to. I'm just going to lightly suggest, hey, you might want to chill out before you injure yourself,
Right.
But
imagine being his wife.
Yeah. I don't know.
Speaking of, she's a sweetheart. We got to meet her.
She is. Yeah, she's super awesome.
For show, she's super cool.
So
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Rick.
Well, I was just going to say, we're talking about all your people that you've trained, and if you thought people were going to make, I mean, some of these guys you've trained have just been absolute mega stars. I mean, you got right here training, I believe, Chuck Norris.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was he one from the beginning that you were just like, man,
man,
he's the guy.
Yeah, Chuck Norris was a hell of a guy. Yeah, I know. I was questioning whether he was going to make it or not.
Yeah, well, not everybody's a star right away. We just so we
he
have
didn't
a,
have
we
that
have a,
drive early on.
right. We have a private eye. We like to. I should have mentioned that before, that we like to
vet
employ and vet our guests. So I mean, there was a couple other ones. I believe this one right here, training the Batman.
The Batman.
Yeah.
It's crazy that he wore his mask. During
the entire time.
Yeah. Got to make sure you can breathe properly in it when it's game day.
Lives the gimmick,
Absolutely. Now this one might have gone a little by the wayside as he got bigger and bigger, but good old Skeletor.
I missed that guy.
Yeah.
God.
Did you teach him to laugh?
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Oh.
He got that from Ryan Michaels.
Right.
Speaking of, some of the best indie matches I've ever seen between you and that guy. Me and Michaels go way back. He's a real good friend of mine. You guys have such a nice chemistry, man.
Yeah. A funny story about him, when he first came around me, he was also trained by the same guy that trained me, Les Thatcher, and he was one of the last guys that Les trained, and it was like, roughly 20 years after he had trained me. And he showed up at a show. I was working for the little company in Hamilton, CWAI, and he showed up and he walked in and he said, I'd like to get on your shows. And I said, if you want to come to training on Monday, and we'll check it out and see what you got. And he said, yeah, I'm not going to do that. And I said, well, cool. Then you can go fuck yourself. And that was that. And we didn't do business. We didn't talk. And then a few months went by, and then he was represented to me again through a friend of a friend, and okay. And then I don't know. I watched him roll around the ring one day, and I got in the ring with him, and it was just, oh yeah, this is gonna be fun. I'm like, and you're the clean cut, like good looking baby face guy, and I'm this wily old veteran that's just mean and grumpy, and this is gonna work. This is gonna be great. And we started beating the crap out of each other, and we had that like nice respect where we can hit each other hard, and we know we're not trying to hurt each other, and so the matches feel more real and they look more real, but we're silently whispering, sorry man, I love you bro, I'm sorry.
Trying to explain that to my wife, like the more they like each other, the harder they'll hate each other.
Yeah.
Megatron and Prime, man.
Yeah, that's kind of been our gimmick. We're both Transformers nerds, and I'm covered in Transformers tattoos, and
nice.
mostly Decepticons all over me. And then he's like, yeah, well, I'm Megatron. You can't be Megatron. I'm Megatron. I'm like, oh my god. He's like, you're the good. You're a Prime. You got to be Prime. I'm like, oh my god. Okay, so I'm Prime and he's Megatron.
Well, I can't believe our private eye didn't uncover your training sessions with Optimus, man. Like, what the hell?
Yes, I was waiting for that actually.
Damn it.
Yeah, those you have to get through the Allspark to get.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't.
Right.
Those aren't on public record, so.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've trained him or not, but have you seen? I'm sure you know exactly who I'm talking about because you were a part of FGW. But Brent Oakley, is there anything you could tell us about him? Did you train him at all, or have you?
No, he worked for me there at FGW, but I didn't train him. He did come to a few training sessions, but he'd already been through. I don't know. I think he was trained by Ace Austin and Sammy. So and those guys like Ace and Sammy, had come down and train with me. So like I know our training styles are very, very similar, and so like those kids, that whole Alpha Sigma faction, like had very similar training to what I would dish out. So rolling around with those guys, and it was an easy click for FGW.
Those guys are amazing. We love those guys.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
So I gotta ask, because I don't really know how like wrestling training works. I've never been to a wrestling training session. are you specifically training like in-ring stuff, or are you kind of training all around, or do you have other people that train for promos or train for, whatever? Or are you kind of doing it all?
Now things are much different for me because my training now is more strictly just with the micro wrestling company.
Right.
But when I was running my school back in Ohio, I ran pretty much all of it. I ran the training part of it, the in-ring training of it, teaching the backstage etiquette to the people, just everything that you need to know. I definitely had some other people that I would bring in, like some people that were good with finance. Hey, here's what to do with some of your money. So 10 years from now, you have a little bit of money,
Oh, no
or,
kidding.
so like I did bring in some people here and there that had a higher level of expertise in certain fields that,
Sure.
I was just, I can do it. I just know I don't want to teach you how to do it. So yeah, but as far as like all the in-ring stuff, no, I'm in the ring, I'm rolling around, I'm taking bumps, I'm doing everything with the guys and girls. And even currently with the micros, I'm in the ring with them. It's a tiny little ring and I barely fit,
Right.
but
Yeah.
but we make it work, and
Sure.
and they're getting better and better. And it's funny because a bunch of the guys from FGW and Ryan Michaels and people that are close to me, they've been to our shows and they're like, yeah, dude, your fingerprints are all over that. I
Yeah.
can see, I could, that's you, that's you, that's
Yeah.
you. I'm like, yep.
Yeah. Well, I think that's kind of a credit because we've heard from quite a few people. You got shiesty, promoters. I've heard, tales of shiesty wrestling trainers. Guy that's got a ring in his backyard and he's like, "I'll train you for $300 or whatever." And I
That's
think it's
definitely
kind of
out
a
there.
it's kind of a credit to you that like you almost go above and beyond. Like you're not just training the in ring stuff. You, like you said, you bring the finance people in to help them out, teach them backstage etiquette and
Yeah.
how to conduct themselves, because when they go to another promotion, say it's a good promotion and they act like a dick, and then it's like, well, who trained you? Oh, Cody Hawk trained me. It's like, well, I'm not going to use any more of his guys, or that it's just
Yeah, true story.
it's a merit to what you do with your training that you kind of go above and beyond, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, I never really saw it as above and beyond because it was kind of the way I was taught. Like the last one he taught us, he taught us all the in-ring stuff, and he did get in the ring and roll around with us sometimes. But he also taught us all the backstage etiquette, and it was one of those things where this is an old veteran guy in the business, and if he hears wind of us acting up or doing something stupid in a locker room, like like this, 25 years ago, you could still get your ass handed to you in a locker room
Right.
by a veteran if you screwed up, you
Yeah.
know. So we all had that fear in us, and we weren't going to step out of line. We weren't going to make a scene in
Sure.
a locker room, cause a fight, or be idiots. And I just carried that forward. Like to me, as a guy who's run a ton of shows and stuff, if you come into my locker room and you're acting a fool or you're making any kind of drama, or you're drunk, or you're reeking of weed, like it's just too much, like.
Yeah.
So like I'm the safety of my wrestlers and everything is most important, and keeping my workspace as drama free as possible. And it's
Absolutely.
already hard enough to have a drama free workplace when you're dealing with 15 or 20 egos on a show.
Right.
But most of the time you can keep that fairly in check.
Well, that's I think that's another merit to you, because we've heard from a lot of the people. I was like Sifa said, we've been involved in Revolver quite a bit lately, and from what we've heard, what we've been around, that locker room is just such a solid place. They're like a family back there, and
Hmm.
obviously with Sammy running that, I think that kind of is a little trickle down from you. You taught him that way, and he is passing that on. So that's good that lineage is continuing on for sure.
Yeah, I'm
So
proud of what Sammy's doing there.
So I gotta ask, man, what was it like in 2019 being inducted into the Cauliflower Alley Club and getting the trainer award? That had to have felt like almost like a we did it, Mom. You know, that kind of thing. Like,
Like
oh
the
yeah,
Yeah,
Oscars.
it was a really very awesome, cool, surreal moment. You know, again, 20 years ago, would I ever see myself getting that kind of an award for being a trainer when all I ever set out to do was just wrestle some matches on an indie show? Um, you know, like I got to go, you know, got to take my mom and dad out to Las Vegas, and you know they had never been there before. Uh, got to hang out there with a bunch of old wrestling stars that you know I watched on TV with them when I was a kid, and then to get up there and be you know presented the award, and Mox is the one that presented it to me, and he cut
It's
a
awesome.
wonderful little intro speech to bring me up on stage, and then when I got to you know like thank everybody and cut my little speech there, and you know to have people that I watched on TV stand up and applaud me, and people that have never met me but I know them because they're famous, you know, applauding me, and like I was just like, wow, this is just crazy. Like,
This is
what
my
kind of
life
life
right
am I
now.
leading? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, so yeah, it was very awesome.
it was fun
One
for
of
me to
the
watch it. I enjoyed
yeah
it too, man. Like I said, I've watched you wrestle a ton of matches around here. For me, you know, I feel like you should be in higher regards to a lot of the indie wrestling fans because to be fair, a lot of them don't know who trains who and who does what. But for me, not only do I know that you trained everyone, I've been watching you wrestle around the Cincinnati area for 20 years, man. And you know,
yeah
it's cool to see you get your flowers, man, while you're still able to get them. You know.
yeah. Well, thank you, man. Yeah, I don't know about flowers, but this is definitely cool. Like I feel very blessed and lucky. You know, I had some really awesome guys and girls come through my training class that were coachable people that just wanted to make it. And you know, I've been a part of some really awesome promotions and good families, and you know, and I just I've been really lucky, you know. Yeah, sure, I didn't make the big WWE money or you know do some of the things that some of my students have gotten to do, but I've led a pretty amazing life in pro wrestling, and it's still
Yeah.
going, and this new venture, I mean, it has endless possibilities right now, and I'm just you know I'm gonna ride this train for as long as I can.
I mean,
Absolutely.
does this micro wrestling give you kind of like your second wind?
Yeah. I mean, when I have, you know, 16 to 20 wrestlers in total that are just starving for knowledge because in the micro wrestling world, a lot of the times the guys and girls are plucked up off the street and they're literally just thrown into a match and here's what we're gonna do and they put together this specific match and then they do that match every night, but they know nothing else, and you're like, hey,
Okay.
can you do this or can you do that? And they have no idea how to do any of it because that's not how they were trained. They were just trained to do one
This is
hip
the
toss,
script. We
one
follow
body
the
slam.
script.
Yes. So so for me, getting to teach everybody that, and like you know, when I first started with them, there was really not heels and baby faces. It was just kind of everybody go out there and do all your cool stuff and pop the crowd. Either it doesn't matter who's popping the crowd or who's winning the matches. And now we're starting to get a real clear cut between who our good guys are and who our bad guys are, and you know, and it's fun and it's awesome. And seeing some of these guys and girls when they go out, you know, I got this one kid named Micro Suave, and the first night, like that, like he got a "You suck" chant from like 600 or 700 people. He was like, "What? Oh my gosh, that was so great!" You know,
Yeah.
like you know, and he didn't want to be a heel, like he was afraid to be a heel. I'm like, no, trust me. Once you figure it out, you're gonna love being a heel.
It's a
Yeah.
high
Embrace.
it's a high like no other, man. In my very, very short indie career, I played a heel for a little while, and I remember this one time a guy came in with his family, and I called his kids ugly, and
Yeah,
the heat I got from him gave me such a high. I was like, I want to yell at people forever. I,
yeah,
I
And here we are.
there's something, and here I am talking to people. At least I'm nice here, though. But there's something
Yeah.
about that, man. There's something, and I'm not gonna go too deep into the detail, but I've tried just about everything there is to try, and there's nothing like that feeling, man, of a crowd
yeah,
either behind you or against you. There is some power there, and I
yeah.
think that people chase it.
Yeah, man, like that that 10 minutes of control you have over a situation is it, I mean, I'm getting goosebumps sitting here talking about it because that's like the one thing I truly miss is the actual in-ring part of it. And I get to kind of live it vicariously through my kids when they're doing what I told them to do, and it works or it doesn't work. If it crashes and burns, then we all weep about it together. Uh,
Right.
but if it succeeds and they come through the curtain and they're smiling from ear to ear and they can't believe what just happened, and I'm grinning from ear to ear, like, you know that's magical, and that control over a crowd, and like, entertain me, damn it. All right, I got
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing
And
like
those are the best wrestlers, whether they're micro or regular size, like the people that genuinely, anybody, a lot of people can go in there and do cool moves and stuff, but man, those people that have that crowd control, you can just tell how much they love working that craft. And it's really cool
Yeah.
to see.
And it's if for what I'm experiencing here with the micros, because of their size and stuff, things that are very ordinary for people my size look devastating to their size.
Okay.
So like a hip toss in regular independent wrestling, nobody bats an eye at a hip toss.
Right.
Yeah.
In micro, somebody does a hip toss and 800 people will come to their feet with, "Oh my God!" It it's crazy.
That's awesome.
Sometimes the biggest move of a night is a body slam.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
That's,
that leads
So
that's
that
gotta be
leads
cool.
me into something I definitely wanted to bring up. I'm glad I thought of it because I'd be mad if I didn't mention it. You have one of the best punches of all time. I've
oh,
seen
thank
you
you.
look like you have, I mean, destroyed somebody, and I know obviously you didn't because they wouldn't be able to get back up. But it's you have such a great punch, and Mox talks about it in his book here. He talks about one of his first trainings with you where you made a guy close his eyes and you punched him and kicked him 100 different ways, but he felt nothing. But every single one of them looked like he clobbered you. Is that
Yeah.
something that just came natural to you, that timing and that sense, or did it take time?
No. That took time, and many months and years of my trainer telling me your punches look like shit, your forearms look like shit, like it looks terrible, like do it this way, do it that way. um and I tried like using a punching bag, and I tried different tricks to make my punch look better, and standing in front of a mirror and throwing punches at the mirror or at the wall next to the mirror so I could see how my shoulder worked and how all the components of your arm look when you're actually drawing back to throw a punch. uh tying a I used to take a tennis ball and tie it to a piece of rope and hang it from my shower curtain rod and stand in my bathroom and shadow box with the tennis ball. If you hit the tennis ball, it's going to move. If you crack it too hard, at least you're not going to damage your wall too bad. And I would dance around in my bathroom and did a lot of punching in my bathroom, and various people that were in my life, girlfriends, buddies, work cohorts, they got assaulted every day. Like, hey, bah, bah, don't move. Hey, close your eyes. Don't move. Boom. Uh, you know, and it got to be a thing where like I could throw a jab, a really good jab, and not touch. I could just graze somebody's chin and not touch it. And I was doing that crap all the time with everybody. I'd be like, "Hey, don't move." Wow. And I'd be like, "What the hell, man? What the like?" So no, I don't ever really remember like a time where somebody said, "Hey, your punch looks amazing." So thank you for that. Like,
Hey, I did it. I think. Listen, I think it's true, man. You know what I mean. Like I said, I've seen you work Michaels, and now with Michaels, your working punch is more of a punch. You know what I mean. But with other people, I've seen you. I don't know, like this match right here. See if you remember this particular moment here. That's Shea Solo there. He
yeah,
was in the CWAI. I saw you work with him, and that was one of the moments where I realized like this guy, your punch is beautiful. So
thank
hopefully
you.
more people give you those flowers.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
So is there anybody, you've got 20, 30 years in this career. Is there anybody that you've not been able to cross paths with that you still wish you could at some point?
I mean, there's all kinds of people. I mean, the wrestling world is enormous. Like,
For sure.
there's and I stepped away from active in-ring wrestling just a little over a year ago to pursue this thing with Micro, and just in a year's time, there are so many new wrestlers out there on the scene that I've never even heard of. And it's like every time I don't have a lot of free time to watch TV, but it's like every time I watch AEW or even WWE, like I see new wrestlers that I've never heard of before. I don't know where they came from. I've never seen them. I don't remember ever seeing them on the indies. Like, wow, there's just so many now. And there's tons of people, and if I were to be able to sit down and name off a list, well, firstly, it would take me hours to literally go through like a Rolodex of people, like, because there's tons. I would love to cross paths with some of my kids that have made it on to higher success and have one last match with each one of them.
Sammy Callahan.
Like I would love to do that, but also know that I've been out of the ring in that kind of an aspect for over a year, and I'd have to do some serious training to make sure that I was ready for that.
Right.
I've already mentioned to Sammy before, I want to see you and him in Revolver. I just feel like that could be, you guys could tell a hell of a story. You know what I mean? You could tell trainer versus trainee, teacher versus student. You could tell a hell of a story, and I would be so fucking happy to see that one. So
yeah, I feel like that's one of those stories where you could get people who are totally emotionally invested in it, and cross that line of, is this real or is this a work?
Yeah.
Speaking of which, man, what about Ronda Rousey being on a Wrestling Revolver show?
I saw that flyer floating around. I said, damn, I wonder how Sammy knows her.
It's got to be through Marina, because Marina
Shafir. Yeah.
Yeah, Marina came up here and she wrestled. They did 2 shows in one day, and in those 2 shows, Marina wrestled a total of 4 matches. So she was the Iron Woman. So that if she's wrestling 4 matches for Sammy, I guarantee you she was the door. In between him and Ronda. So it's really cool because we sponsored.
Not a single one of those was a squash either. Like all of them were 5 minutes or more.
Yeah,
nice.
He was on Busted Open Radio today talking about how he landed her.
That's awesome.
Oh, I didn't even check that out. I don't have to listen to that later.
Yeah,
that's cool, man.
It's a mega star though, so like good for him.
Oh yeah. Again speaks volumes, to your family tree there. You're like the Bill Belichick of indie wrestling.
That's a very good analogy. I wasn't even thinking of that. That's awesome.
But he just he treats people right, and that word gets spread out, and someone wants to do something on the independent level. That's got to be cool for her, because getting outside of the big cogs of the machine of the E, and getting to do some indie stuff. And I'm really excited to see what she looks like in an indie wrestling match,
Yeah.
Because we've seen the muted version. So
yeah, she gets to be a little more of herself and who she actually is, or whatever persona she's gonna put forth to the crowd. Like, I don't know. I think it's definitely going to be way edgier than what you saw in WWE.
Yeah, I agree. I'm excited to watch it on Fight TV here coming up November 18th, I think it is.
16th.
16th.
Unreal.
Yeah. Revolver.
Thursday.
Yeah, we're sponsors for Revolver, so we're also shills as well. But we have some fun there, man.
Man. Like, Sammy's got a great thing going there, and I wish him nothing but success. I feel like he's an extension of me. So like, if he succeeds, then I'm still succeeding a little bit through him.
Yeah, he's got a level of creativity, man, that is just I hate this to compare him to it, but he reminds me so much with the way he runs his stuff of Heyman, the way Heyman ran in early ECW, except he's a little more responsible. It seems like he's got this level of creativity that allows I mean, he writes stories, and in the middle of the match tells the story right there, and by the end, you're already invested. And these people could have never met before this show, and it still works. So.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm in Central Florida, and where I'm at, there's been like 25 bear sightings this week, and
Bear sightings?
oh yeah, there's bears all over right here, and one of the side lights just came on over here by itself, and I'm like, well, let me just peek back through there and make sure there
Let's
ain't
see if there's bear
something.
back here.
Watch your
Say there ain't
shit, Cody
something.
Hawk.
Right. If this phone just drops and hits the ground and y'all don't see me no more, you know that I'm running.
that would be some shit to happen live on the show. Cody Hawk mauled by bear. Gosh.
That's awesome. Well, and like you were talking about how seeing Sammy and his success, that's, kind of an extension from you. Like, one of the things that we've seen, dude, there's talent that just shows up to that show to, help set up and help tear down, and just for a chance to, meet him and get their name out with him and potentially be on the show at one point, and I just think that's so, it's a merit to him of the culture he's created there. Like,
yeah, and
it's
like,
he's not searching for people are searching for him.
right, and I feel like I feel like that's something that he learned watching like old HWA, old Heartland Wrestling Association. We had names coming through there on a regular basis, and we weren't soliciting those names, and we weren't paying them high dollar. Tracy Smothers would call me and say, hey brother, you got room for me on the show? Tracy, I can't pay you. Hey brother, just let me sell some merch and give me $50 for gas. Hey, all right, we got you on the show. Like, just we had random names always on the show, and like that made all the good indie talent around town want to come, because they might get to work one of these legends or one of these people that's just passing through town. And then when I was at Rockstar, we had that same mentality at Rockstar. And then when FGW came around, like, we started, and nobody wanted to work for us, and by the end, everybody, we had so much talent, like it was like I'm gonna need like 30 people to stay home this week because we have 75 people on the roster.
Right.
Like,
Holy cow.
I mean, it was getting ridiculous there at the end, because everybody wanted to work for us, because it was a good family environment. And that was the one thing I always heard over and over again from all the veterans that would come through, or all the guys that trained with me 20 years ago, is, I come because of your locker room. This locker room is awesome. It's like a family back here. Everybody's cool. Everybody wants to learn. Nobody feels like they're better than anybody else, and you don't have anybody being snobbish or assholish about what you're doing, and everybody's trying to help everybody. And that just that's the way I have always wanted my locker rooms to be. And then to hear that Sammy's locker room is that way, like, I feel like maybe he learned that from me.
Almost verbatim what you just said is how people describe his locker room also.
Yep.
They treat us like that, man. I mean, we drove out to Iowa, just to go out and see one of the shows. And when we got there, they treated us like we were, royalty fan wise. You know what I mean? Like, the fact that we drove 8 hours, like my sign says, 590 miles we drove to see Dreamer hurt Damian Chambers. And like I they treated us so well, and the backstage vibe is what sold us to where we're like, yeah, we are all in, we are sponsors, we want to ride this wave, you know what I mean? And it's been great. We really like doing it. And it's that passion in the backstage that definitely bleeds through for us, man. We have a lot of fun. So
yeah.
What are your hopes, man, for the future? What's are you working micro for the next foreseeable future? Like, what's your plans? Are you just
I mean, it's hard for me to say what the future holds outside of micro, because right now everything that I got is based on that. This job has changed my life. It gave me the financial means to move out of Ohio, to move to Tennessee, to pay off my bills, to become completely debt free, and move on with life. And
That's a great feeling.
It is, you know, and now I'm on the road so much, and I make decent money, and I don't have time to spend the money. So
Yeah.
it's just, you know, I'm putting everything away for a rainy day, and I've got a plan. My plan is, you know, hopefully I can ride this way for maybe 10 years. If I can ride this for 10 years, then when that 10 years is up and I pull the plug on it, I'll be 60 years old, and I'm, you know, buy my vacation home or my permanent home somewhere on a sandy beach, and
There
call
you
it a
go.
day. You know, like that's kind of what my goal has always been, and I feel like I'm getting closer and closer. And you know, this micro thing really made me take a big step towards all that. And
It's
you know,
awesome.
if you ask Ed Gonzalez, he said I was going to move out of Ohio. Like 25 times, I probably told him I was moving out of Ohio, and I was ready to go. And Cody Hawk, here you still are in Ohio. And so when I moved to Tennessee, I don't think he actually believed that I moved until, oh, you did, you actually did move.
You
You're
actually
lying.
Yeah. So
So
right now, I mean, I'm gonna do what I can do with micro, and I'm gonna help it. And we just shot a reality show that's gonna air on a major cable network in the spring.
Awesome.
You know, so there's some big things going for our company. Right now, we have 2 crews that are traveling the road, and Pigeon Forge is closed down because we make more money on the road. But here in a couple more months, you know, we'll have our 2 traveling crews, and Pigeon Forge will be open. So we'll essentially have 3 crews running, you know,
Wow.
so, you know, they will be running 3 shows a day all over the country, you know, like right now, Micro 2, my crew is on vacation, and Micro 1 is still out on the road. And about the time we go back out on the road later this week, they're coming off the road, and then they got a couple weeks off, and we'll finish up the year. And you know, next year is already looking like, you know, both traveling crews are going to have close to 300 shows apiece. So it's going to be an insane year.
Hell yeah. I don't know if you guys are Kentucky licensed or not, but we might have to. I've got a show brewing in March that I might need to partnership with somebody, so we might have to talk some
Yeah.
more after off.
Every city's
We,
expensive.
yeah, yeah, we definitely do a lot of shows in
If Ed
Kentucky. We
can't
just in
afford him.
Kentucky 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, that was the one I missed. That was it. You guys went to Hits in Covington, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. The next closest place we're going to be is like a week, the 8th, I think it's the 18th, maybe, if that's a Friday. We're in Xenia, Ohio. That's about the
Okay.
next closest place that we're going to be for a while. I mean, we'll be back around town, but it won't be till probably in this late winter, early spring of next year, where we'll be like in Cincinnati or somewhere like that close by.
Right.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're gonna mark my words. We're gonna have 3 dads in the front row whenever you have your next Cincinnati date.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Heck yeah, man. Well, guys, got anything else?
We're right at about an hour here. Daggone. And like Cephas always says, man, these things fly by when we got fun guests to talk to. And sir, you've been an absolute pleasure to talk
Thank
with.
you, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys, you know, reaching out and even being interested in what I'm doing or what's going on. So I
Bro,
appreciate you guys.
you're an absolute legend. Cody.
Me?
You're an absolute legend, man. You've created so much in this world and given back to it. It was an honor for us to have you on here. When it comes to pro wrestling trainers, you're definitely on my Mount Rushmore. That's for sure. So,
Thank you, man. I appreciate you guys.
Absolutely. And hey, you know, you said you were happy to be compared to Al Snow. Just know that he cried when he was on here and you didn't.
Yeah.
So, you
yeah,
know,
you didn't.
I'm just playing
Nice.
around.
It's true. Though.
It is true, but it was a good cry. It was a good cry.
If he'd have showed him one of those pictures of him getting schooled by Cody Hawk with the head cutouts, he probably would have cried.
We had some pretty good ones, Al.
We did have some good ones, Al. Yeah. Do we still have those on here?
I don't know. I have no idea if we moved them or not.
Yeah,
I
they're
think they're
probably
gone.
gone.
I think they're gone.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah, they're funny. But yeah, man. You boys got anything else before we wrap this thing up?
No, man. Just make sure you know, if you're a dad, you know, spend some time with your kids. The weather's getting colder. You have more time at home. Find something to do with them, even if it's something you think is drab and you don't want to do it. And you think, like, you know, my kids love Roblox, but I have to pretend that I love Roblox too. So,
Same here. Yeah.
Spend some time with your kid.
My youngest is 15, so he likes all the same stuff that I do. So
There you go. Yeah.
it's pretty easy.
He just can't get him bourbon yet.
Well, I let him have a taste that, and that because I know it'd burn him up, and I was like, yeah, it all tastes like this, and we just leave my shit alone. Hurts, don't it? Yeah, don't touch the rest of it.
Yeah. There you go.
You like vodka? I have a 25-year high school reunion tomorrow night, guys.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Aging like fine wine, brother.
I think this is like the last one. Like, you don't do it after 25, right? I mean,
Unless you live to 50.
Yeah.
I turned 50 in 2 days.
I bet 50 years past
No
high
shit.
school, but
Yeah.
50 in 2 days? You're doing all
Yeah,
right,
man.
You're aging just fine as well, man.
Hitting your stride, buddy.
Yeah.
Hitting your
Oh,
stride.
yeah. I just need my hat to cover all my wrinkles.
Yeah. Well, they're from smiling so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Having such a good time.
That's right.
That's what I say.
All right. Well, as always, we've been the DW podcast. I'm Big Rig Eric Maffey. He is Mr. Magnificent Mike Martin. He is wrestling t-shirt guy Cephas. And he has been the legend, Mr. Cody Hawk. Thank you so much again for coming on. We really appreciate you. As always, check us out on all the socials at DW_podcast, Facebook at the DWO podcast, Pro Wrestling Tees, T Public, get all that dad merch. And I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, look at that. We got hats, we got hoodies, we got all the good stuff. It's pretty cool. Look at that. We even got them, look, white and red. Awesome. Cephas doesn't wear any of our stuff though because he doesn't care.
Wow.
I'm just kidding. Hey, appreciate y'all tuning in. Till next time, Top Dads out.